Hello, I'm Avis Kalfsbeek, and this is the Peace is Here podcast. Welcome to Peacewarts, School of Peacecraft and Inquiry, where we practice the skills of peace through short classes. We take the peace work seriously, but not ourselves. If you're joining us mid-school year, you're not late. Orientation begins at episode 198. Welcome back, Peace Scholars. We are in Resonant Charms 101 in the Echo Chamber. In our last lesson, we learned to hear the frequency of the room. Today, we focus on the very first vibration you send back into that space, the doorway sentence. The American author and pioneer of family therapy, Virginia Satir, once observed, "Life is not what it is supposed to be, it is the way it is. The way you cope with it is what makes the difference." The entry, levitation phrasing, and the soft startup. In the Department of Resonant Charms, the doorway sentence is a specific kind of opener designed to create an entry point rather than an exit. Most conflict begins with a harsh startup, an accusation or a rigid demand that adds weight to the door, pinning the other person against the wall. A doorway sentence uses levitation phrasing to lift that pressure. It is a sentence that grants the listener agency and curiosity. Instead of beginning with a barricade like, "You always," a peace scholar begins with an invitation like, "I am curious about how you see this." This removes the immediate amygdala threat and makes it physically easier for the other person to step into the conversation. The history, greetings before problems. To find the masterclass in doorway sentences, we look to the Māori hui protocols of New Zealand. In these traditional gatherings, it is culturally impossible to start a meeting by diving into a problem. They begin with waka papa, a formal greeting that establishes lineage and connection to the land. This acts as a massive doorway. By acknowledging the ancestors and the shared ground first, the weight of the current dispute is lifted. We also see this in the labor organizing of Dolores Huerta. Her famous phrase, "Si se puede," was not a command or demand, it was a doorway. It invited farm workers into a shared sense of possibility. It moved the conversation from the barricade of "we are being crushed" to the doorway of "we are capable." These historical examples show us that the first sentence determines whether the people in the room will be combatants or collaborators. The thesis, the science of curiosity over control. The lesson for today is that a cornered mind cannot innovate. When you use a sentence that demands a specific outcome, you trigger a polyvagal threat response in your listener, causing their nervous system to shut down. To cast a levitation charm, you must move from the posture of control to a posture of curiosity. We teach three primary doorway forms: curiosity, choice, and shared aim. Using a phrase like, "What matters most to you in this situation?" is a structural intervention. It signals to the other person's brain that they are not being hunted or trapped. Peace is not found in the room where everyone is forced to agree. It is found in the room where the first sentence makes it safe enough to enter. The Commons Forge. How does this concept of a doorway sentence support a world of sharing? It forces us to look at the entry point of a conversation as a shared access gateway to our collective relationships. When we employ a harsh startup, we are effectively staging an illegal enclosure, throwing up psychological fences that lock others out and trigger defensive threat responses. By intentionally crafting a doorway sentence, a peace scholar ensures our shared social spaces remain an open, accessible pasture, preserving the individual agency and mutual trust required for a community to steward its resources together. Homework. 1. Look up the term soft startup as defined by psychologist John Gottman and find one example of how a harsh startup affects the likelihood of a conflict being resolved. 2. Write down one question about any of this episode's topics. If you don't have a question, just write no question. 3, optional. Identify a difficult conversation you need to have. Write down the first sentence you are planning to say, and then write it as a doorway sentence using a curiosity or choice frame. Notice how the second version feels in your own body when you say it out loud. If you'd like to read more on this subject, some book suggestions are The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman and Nan Silver, which anchors the foundational psychology of using a soft startup instead of a harsh startup to invite participation rather than cornering someone, and Changing the Conversation, The 17 Principles of Conflict Resolution by Dana Casperson, a highly practical guide focused on shifting away from destructive attack and defend postures toward open, curiosity-driven dialogue. These are also in the show notes with the homework. The clear signal. The weight of your words is within your control. If a conversation feels heavy, ask yourself if your first sentence was a barricade or a doorway. Clear signals are light signals. Until our next lesson, keep your heart in the harmonic. Class dismissed. Thank you for listening. If you're looking for your next read, I write books about strong friends, wild places, and a future worth the effort. The Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series follows 2 best friends, Tilly and Camus, strong, funny, and in love with the wild world, who decide their small choices add up to something. Hopeful eco-fiction for grown-ups, climate fiction without the doom. You can jump in anywhere or start with book 1. In 1 more year, Tilly can swim like a dolphin and run like the wind. She just never learned to cycle, which is a problem because she's decided to attempt her first Ironman. Her reason isn't glory. It's a quiet, stubborn idea. If one ordinary person can finish something this hard, maybe a whole town can be talked into buying less, wasting less, and keeping their stuff longer. 1 more year. To pull it off, Tilly leans on her best friend and coach Camus, tattooed, tequila-loving, and exactly the voice you'd want yelling at you from the shore, plus a gruff, retired cycling pro hiding out on a private island, a pack of maverick mountain bikers, a salty old pirate named Ike, and Pedro, her devoted water dog. Together they train, scheme, fall a little in love, and slowly realize their northwest lake town of Sandglass is facing a threat bigger than any race. My books are available wherever books are sold, including at aviskalfsbeek.com. Podcast music is by Javier Pequi Rodriguez, and the track is I Am Late, Madame Curie. Sound effects are from Pixabay. Regarding peace, we need not delay or despair. We are not late. We are right on time to love. We are all scholars of peace. Listen for the peace.